There is a silent killer hiding inside your closest relationships right now. It is not arguments. It is not betrayal. It is not distance or lack of time. It is something so small, so invisible, that most people never even realize it is happening until the damage is already done. And by the time they notice, the person they love most is already halfway out the door emotionally. I want you to stop for a second and really think about this. Have you ever said exactly what you meant, clearly and calmly, and somehow the other person still felt hurt? Have you ever tried to explain yourself and watched someone shut down right in front of you? Have you ever gone to bed next to someone and felt completely, utterly alone? That feeling is not a coincidence. That feeling has a name, and today we are going to talk about it. Most people assume communication problems look dramatic. They imagine screaming matches or cold silences that stretch on for days. But the most destructive communication mistake does not look like any of that. It is quiet. It happens in ordinary conversations. It happens over coffee. It happens in text messages. It happens in moments that feel completely insignificant in the moment, but over time they stack on top of each other like bricks, and one day you realize you are standing on opposite sides of a wall that neither of you remembers building. Here's what that mistake actually is. It is responding to the words instead of the feeling behind them. Let that land for a second. When someone you love says something to you, there are always two things happening at once. There is what they are saying, and there is what they are feeling. Most of us, without even realizing it, are only responding to the words, and when you respond only to the words, the other person feels unheard. They feel unseen. They feel like they are talking to someone who is listening to reply rather than listening to understand. And that feeling, repeated hundreds of times over months and years, creates an emotional distance that words eventually cannot cross. Think about the last time you were upset about something and tried to express it. Maybe you said something like, "I just feel like I never have any time for myself." And the response you got was, "What are you talking about? You had the whole afternoon on Saturday." Technically accurate, emotionally devastating. Because what you were actually saying was, "I am exhausted, I am overwhelmed, and I need someone to see that." But instead of feeling seen, you felt dismissed. And without even consciously deciding to, you pulled back just a little, you shared just a little less next time, and then a little less the time after that. This is how relationships die quietly, not in explosions, in tiny retreats. And here is the part that makes this so painful. The person responding to you is not trying to hurt you. They genuinely believe they are being helpful. They are problem solving. They are defending. They are clarifying facts. They are doing what they were taught to do. But no one ever taught them how to respond to what is underneath the words. No one ever taught them how to make another person feel truly received. Now I need to pause here because what I am about to tell you is something that the most effective communicators in the world understand at a level most people never reach. Research consistently shows that people in the strongest, most lasting relationships spend significantly more time validating their partner's emotions than they do correcting or problem solving. Not because the facts do not matter, but because people do not feel connected to facts. They feel connected to feeling understood. That gap between being heard factually and being felt emotionally, that is where relationships either thrive or slowly collapse. And look, I know what you might be thinking right now. You might be thinking, okay, but surely it cannot be this simple. Surely fixing something this painful requires something more complicated. I understand that instinct. But sometimes the most devastating problems have surprisingly precise solutions. The difficulty is not in the complexity. The difficulty is in consistently doing something that runs completely counter to how we were wired. Because here is the truth. We were never taught this, not in school, not by watching the adults around us. Most of us grew up in households where emotional communication was either absent, messy, or flat-out modeled incorrectly. So we absorbed patterns that feel completely natural, but are actually quietly eroding every relationship we step into. Before I go any deeper, I want to be direct with you about something. If you are watching this and you recognize yourself in any of what I am describing, whether you are the one who feels unheard, or the one who never quite knows how to respond, there is a program linked in the description below this video. It is designed specifically to help people like you bridge this exact gap with tools that go far beyond what any single video can teach you. I am going to tell you more about it at the end. But for now, just know that it exists, and it is there for the people who are serious about actually changing this, not just understanding it intellectually. Not everyone is ready for that, and that is completely fine. Now let me show you what this mistake actually costs you over time, in real and measurable terms. Studies in relational psychology suggest that couples who consistently misattune to each other's emotional needs are significantly more likely to experience chronic dissatisfaction, emotional withdrawal, and eventual separation. And beyond romantic relationships, this same pattern plays out in friendships, in family dynamics, in professional relationships. The person who never feels heard eventually stops reaching out. They find their connection elsewhere, or they stop reaching at all. Think about what it would mean if you had one single friendship or partnership that truly made you feel completely understood. Not judged, not managed, not redirected, just fully, genuinely received. Research suggests that level of connection is one of the strongest predictors of long-term well-being, life satisfaction, and even physical health outcomes. That is not a small thing, that is everything. And now think about what it costs you when that is missing. Not just emotionally, but in time. Think about how many hours you have spent replaying conversations in your head, trying to figure out where it went wrong. How many nights you have lost to anxiety about a relationship that feels like it is slowly slipping away, but you cannot quite figure out why. How many opportunities for real intimacy have been swapped out for surface-level exchanges because somewhere along the line both of you stopped feeling safe going deeper? Time is not just money. Time is irreplaceable, and every day that passes where the person closest to you feels unseen is a day that pushes them one step further toward emotional detachment. Now let me show you what shifts when this changes. When someone finally learns how to respond to the emotion instead of just the content, something almost miraculous happens in their relationships. The other person opens up in ways they have not in years. Conversations that used to end in frustration start ending in closeness. Walls that took years to build start coming down faster than you would expect, because the truth is, most people are absolutely starving to be understood. They have been waiting, often without even knowing it, for someone to finally just get it. One person who completely transformed how they communicated described it this way. They said that for years they had felt like they were living next to their partner rather than with them. Like they were roommates who shared a history but not a present. And within weeks of changing this one pattern, they said it felt like coming back to each other after a very long time away. Not because everything was suddenly perfect, but because they could finally actually reach each other again. That is the power of this. It is not about having better arguments or learning clever phrases. It is about becoming someone that the people in your life can actually land with. Someone they feel safe being real with. That quality, that kind of emotional safety, is magnetic. It draws people towards you. It makes your relationships richer, your conversations more honest, and your life genuinely more meaningful. And here is something that most people never consider. When you become this kind of communicator, your professional relationships transform too. Leaders who validate before they redirect retain better talent, inspire greater loyalty, and create environments where people actually want to perform. The skills are identical, the returns are enormous. So here is the practical piece. The next time someone you care about expresses something that feels like a complaint or a criticism, pause before you respond, and ask yourself one question. What is this person actually feeling right now? Not what are they saying, what are they feeling? Then respond to that first. Acknowledge it, reflect it back. Make them feel received before you do anything else. It sounds disarmingly simple, and it works in a way that almost nothing else does. Notice how different it feels when instead of explaining or defending, you just say something like, "That sounds really exhausting. I can hear how much that is weighing on you." No argument, no correction, just recognition. The emotional temperature in the room changes instantly, and from that place, from that foundation of feeling heard, real conversation becomes possible. Real closeness becomes possible. This one shift consistently applied has the power to transform every close relationship in your life. Not over years, often within weeks, because connection does not require time. It requires presence. It requires the specific kind of listening that most people have never been shown how to do. And if you want to go deeper than this, if you are serious about rewiring the patterns that have been quietly costing you the relationships and the closeness that you actually deserve, there is a program linked in the description below this video right now. I will be honest with you. Most people will watch this, feel something, and then go back to doing exactly what they have always done. That is the reality. And if that is you, that is okay. But if you are the person who looks at your relationships and really knows that something has to change, then do not let this moment pass. The program exists for that person, the one who is done settling for surface-level connection and ready to actually build something different. That person does not wait, they act, and everything in their relationships eventually reflects that choice. You are not broken. You were just never taught this. And now you know it is possible to change it.